when I met the strength staff first, and they were great. Like they were, there was a mutual respect, and I was willing to work with him. And then I met the coaches next, and same there. So I mean, it was all good vibes from the get-go. I mean, that propelled me here as well. Talking with Matt, talking with Booty. Like I've seen them like several times throughout this offseason before I even came back to OTA. So just having that relationship, building that, it's been helpful.
Best cover corner in the league has entered the chat. That's what Jaire had to say as he spoke to the media yesterday for the first time. He's been back for all these OTA runarounds, and he's excited for new D coordinator Jeff Hafley. Our friend Andy Herman from Pack-A-Day Podcast joins us now on the NicoletLaw.com guest line. Good morning, Andy. How are you today, my friend?
I am fantastic. The best 365-day-a-year Packers podcaster has entered the chat. I'll put it. I'm just kidding. It's great to talk to you guys.
I love it. No one else is endeavoring to do what you do.
I know. That's the best part of it.
I love it. Okay. So Jaire's been here the whole time, which was notable because last year, what was his attendance at these things?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what his attendance was last year, but I know he did not have this level of attendance. I know there was a couple missed. I don't know if it was OTAs or certainly some of the offseason program that he had missed. And, one of the huge takeaways so far has not only been the overall attendance, but sort of the reinvigorated Jaire Alexander. And we all know what Jaire is capable of when he is on his A game. He is an all-pro caliber corner, one of the best in the league, pure cover guy, can do anything that you need him to do, zone, man, press, doesn't matter. He can do it. Obviously 2 years ago, he was still, I think, a second team all-pro. Last year didn't have that same sort of impact. The coin toss incident, gets suspended for a game, has had some injury issues, and just seeing him fully bought in. You could sort of glean from his comments as well as Eric Stokes' comments, especially Jaire's, how excited that they are about Jeff Hafley's defense, but also maybe there was a little bit of frustration at times from a previous defensive regime. There seems to be a newfound energy there with Jeff Hafley coming aboard.
Indeed. I mean, the praise Butchie is running rampant for this new guy, and he said all the right things. We're going to be a downhill attacking defense. And of course, that's what you want to hear. What I'm going to really be interested in, Brian, is what if Hafley's defense and these guys are just hell on wheels and they're tearing teams up? Will you A, be happy, or B, be semi-furious that they didn't do something like this sooner? There's a question for you right there.
Yeah,
I'll be happy.
For me,
I'll be mostly happy.
It's at least fixed.
But part of me, Andy Herman, will be like, okay, well, great. We threw away last year because of it.
Andy, here's the question that I have with that. Can you be an elite offense and have an elite defense at the same time?
Yes, it's legal.
Yeah, I think it is legal. I just want to go back to Zabe.
Do it.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. So I just want to go back to Zabes for just a second because you mentioned the frustration. It's so funny. I went back and I was watching Eric Stokes, Carrington Valentine, and Jaire Alexander, and I was watching all their press man snaps from a season ago. I don't usually get frustrated when I've watched some really bad games the day after, and I can sort of like look for some of the positives. That was one of the most frustrated times that I have been because I go and I watch all three of those guys and even Keyshawn Nixon, and I watch all of their snaps and press man coverage. And you know what, guys? It looked freaking awesome. And I'm just like, these guys were all doing it very well when they were asked to do it. And they just weren't asked to do it all that much. And there's so much of the off-zone coverage. That was the first time I'm like, my goodness, if they just played that even a little bit more, it felt like it would have had a pretty significant impact. And I know you can't do it all the time because every team has man beaters and they're going to pick you apart if you do the same thing over and over. But they were doing the same thing over and over on the opposite side, playing a lot of off-ball zone coverage, and that wasn't working. So I do believe that these corners are going to enjoy playing this brand of football a whole heck of a lot more. And I think they're in much better hands with Jeff Hafley, probably switching things up more than what we saw from Joe Barry.
And when we saw this team last play, they're playing at an elite level offensively.
Yeah.
Should we anticipate a regression of any sort?
I don't know that I would necessarily anticipate it, but I would also be, somewhat cognizant that there is an opportunity that they could take some sort of step back. And I don't even necessarily know that that is due to anything that they are doing wrong. It's just other teams are going to study what Green Bay did from a season ago. They're going to have new plans for Jordan Love. They blitzed him. Every team blitzed him a lot last year and didn't have much success with it. So you're probably going to see teams try to do the opposite. All right, we're going to play a lot of shell coverage on him, and we're going to make sure that he can't beat us deep and he can't have all his playmaking, and they're going to try to frustrate him and make him impatient. And they're going to probably try a bunch of other things until some defensive coordinator comes up with a plan of, all right, this is sort of a formula that's worked against Jordan Love, and then every other coordinator is going to repeat it. Now, the great thing is Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love showed last year, especially in the second half of the year, that they had answers for just about everything. But again, that other defensive coordinators are going to cook something up the more that they've had the opportunity to watch this specific offense with Jordan Love. I could see that happening. And then the other thing that puts a little doubt in my mind as well is just the offensive line and the depth along the offensive line. I know that in general, losing Yosh Nijman and John Runyon Jr. and the one game of David Bakhtiari, it doesn't seem like a ton. But there's a lot of unknowns, I think, outside Elton Jenkins and Zach Tom. I think there's still question marks on Josh Myers. I think there's still question marks on Sean Ryan. Rasheed Walker, I actually really liked a season ago, but the Packers seem more intent on giving him the competition. We'll see what Jordan Morgan can do. Andre Dillard had a really rough season for Tennessee, and then it's a lot of rookies and unknown guys after that. So that's kind of more my interested point of how good can this offensive line be, and can they take a step from a season ago?
When you look at the offensive line, obviously that's going to be very important with Josh Jacobs. How did he look yesterday? A little bit, kind of got back to it. No, he's playing off of that hamstring a little bit.
Yeah, no, he's in a ramp up period is what you can kind of tell right now. So last week he just did the warm up sessions and then went with a trainer right away. This week he did the ramp ups or the warm up, and then he went and did the individual drills and some of the ball security drills. And then after that, rather than doing the team activities and things like that, he went and worked with a trainer again. And then later when they did walkthroughs at like a 20% pace in 11-on-11s with no contact, he went back in and did some of that. But overall, it's just great to see him out there. I clearly am not a doctor, but he looked fantastic just doing the individual stuff on the side. This very much feels precautionary and safe and all of those sort of things. It doesn't feel like this is going to be anything that's going to linger throughout the course of the season. Just seems like they're being very safe with him. And what he did do, he looked fantastic. He looked like Josh Jacobs.
Meanwhile, how was my guy Anders Carlson yesterday?
Yeah, better, I guess. He was 6 of 7 overall.
That was a vote of confidence save right there.
Yeah. I don't know how anyone.
Other hand in the fire.
Nope.
I don't know any let's say he kicks perfectly all throughout camp and preseason. I think we're still gonna have like knots in our stomach when he goes up in that first game to go kick, and it just is what it is. But he was 6 of 7 yesterday. His only miss was from 51 yards out, and it was a fairly windy day, so a little bit of accident forgiveness there. Certainly did better than Jack Podlesny did, who was only 3 of 7 on his field goal attempts. I think he hit the post a couple times, and then Greg Joseph did not kick yesterday. So of the 3, Anders had the best day, but his leg looks good as it always has. And then of course, a little bit better accuracy, but 6 of 7, it's kind of what you want to see and kind of what you would expect at this point.
Couple injuries, Lucas Van Ness and Tucker Kraft. Start with Kraft. Kraft tore his pec while lifting. Do you lift, bro? This happened under the supervision of the Packers at an OTA?
It seems like that. That was obviously what came out of the locker room discussions yesterday. Let's see. This is where I'm smart, Czabe. I don't lift, in that way I cannot tear my pec. So that's the secret of it. So a couple things.
He'll miss like a couple months, but he should be ready for full camp, right?
Yeah, should be ready for camp. I think why this is maybe a little bit more of a story is because Tucker Kraft, pec injury, Zach Tom, pec injury, Matt LaFleur, pec injury. And why that's even more of a story, of course, is because you've got a new training staff and you've got a new strength and conditioning staff. So when you've got a brand new strength and conditioning staff coming in, and I know everyone's so focused on, can we eliminate these hamstring injuries? And then all of a sudden you've got 3 torn pecs, including the head coach, or at least 3 pec injuries, including the head coach. I think that probably raises a little bit of eyebrows. I think at this point you chalk it up to unlucky, happenstance, whatever. But if there's another one, if all of a sudden next week we get to OTAs or minicamp the week after, and there's another guy with a torn pec, you start asking a few more questions of like, all right, what the heck is going on in the weight room? And is this new training staff? Like what's going on?
Right. And then the Lucas Van Ness injury was what?
Thumb injury, broken thumb. And there's a fun clip going around on that too. So yeah, just the tip of the thumb is what was injured for LVN. Again, not a doctor. I would assume if there was a game this weekend, you probably cast that thing up and he's probably good to go. But I'm sure being a little bit more precautionary in OTAs. All
right. Anything else that came out of yesterday's session? This was the only session they'll let the media get their elbows into, and today and tomorrow are private.
Yeah, today, tomorrow are private. There's an open OTA next Tuesday, and then the following week, there should be 2 open mini camp practices. So we've got a few left. Just a couple of minor things. Yesterday, we saw our first competitive 2-minute drills. We saw 2s versus 2s, 1-on-1s, and 3s versus 3s. Defense came out winning all 3 of them. Michael Pratt had the best session of all 3 of the quarterbacks. He drove the team right down the field. He was 5 of 9, but one of them was a spike and the other 3 were all drops. He had a beautiful throw down to Malik Heath down to the 8-yard line on a corner route. And unfortunately, Heath just dropped it clean. It was a beautiful ball. But he had a really nice drive. And then the other sort of piece of news, Colby Wooden, a little bit of time as a 4-3 defensive end. They moved him outside with, I think, some of the guys gone yesterday. So those were kind of some of the other key takeaways from yesterday's practice.
All right. I'm going to send you the Vitali clip that broke the internet about 15 years ago. Do you lift, bro? You ever seen it, Andy?
I think I know the phrase. I don't know that I've ever actually seen the clip.
It's a good watch.
Oh, it's a good one. Yeah.
What's up, bro? Do you even lift? Do you even lift, bro? All right, you look on that skinlicious, man. The girl's bigger than you.
Do you even lift, bro? Guys want to fight him just because he literally is asking, do you lift?
Amazing.
All right, very good. Andy Herman, Pack-A-Day Podcast. Make it part of your daily podcast diet and regimen, and he will have you up to speed on all things green and gold 365. Thank you, Andy.
Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.